Mia measured her school supplies, but she forgot to label the units. Label the measurements as inches or centimeters. How much shorter is the crayon in centimeters?
Welcome back. It's time for another math quest. We haven't worked with objects that have two different measurements, but we do know how to measure length. Let's see if that will help us figure this out. Are you wondering what I'm wondering? How can something have two different lengths? Let's think. We already know how to measure the length of these school supplies, right? First, we choose the unit. Which unit is best to measure the eraser? Centimeters, because it's small, about 5 centimeters long. Which unit for the pencil? It's longer, so inches. And we already know it's about 6 inches from solving our last quest. All right, we've got one measurement for each. Can we get two? We already measured the eraser in centimeters and the pencil in inches. Do you think we could switch the units and measure again? Let's try. Pause here to grab your rulers. Unpause when you've measured the eraser in inches and the pencil in centimeters. What'd you get? 2 inches for the eraser and 15 centimeters for the pencil? Great measuring! Now we know the same object can have two measurements if we use different units. Hey, you're right, Mia. When we measured in centimeters, we got larger numbers than when we measured in inches. Does that mean an object changes size when we measure in different units? Let's compare the two units we used to measure the pencil. 15 and 6. 15 is a lot more than 6. But did the pencil change when we switched units? Nope, it stayed the same. So why do you think we needed more centimeters than inches? Yeah, centimeters are shorter. It takes more of them to measure the same pencil. That doesn't mean objects are longer when we measure in centimeters. It just means centimeters are a shorter unit. I think we've figured something out about units. The shorter the unit, the more you need to measure something. And the longer the unit, the fewer you need. Way to go! Good idea, Mia. Now that we've compared an object's length in different units, let's compare one object's length to another. How much longer is the pencil than the eraser? How much longer? That's like finding the difference between two numbers. And we know how to do that. We start with the greater number, or measurement, and subtract the smaller measurement. The answer we get is the difference. We know stacking the numbers vertically can help us subtract. But each object has two measurements. How do we know which ones to use? Let's think about this. We can't subtract inches from centimeters. The units aren't the same size, so the answer wouldn't be right. To find the real difference, the units have to match. Centimeters with centimeters, inches with inches, and so on. We'll subtract the difference in centimeters first. Which number goes on top? We can stack 15 on top of 5 and keep the place values aligned. Then we subtract the smallest place value. What's 5 minus 5? 0. And 110 minus 0 tens? 1. Yep. That's a difference of 10. So the pencil is 10 centimeters longer than the eraser. What's the difference in inches? 6 minus 2 equals 4. So the pencil is 4 inches longer than the eraser. All right, I think we've got it. Let's solve today's quest. Mia measured her school supplies, but she forgot to label the units. Label the measurements as inches or centimeters. How much shorter is the crayon in centimeters? Wow, this quest has 2 parts. First up, label each set of measurements. Pause the video to fill in cm for centimeters and in for inches next to each measurement on your math quest. Let's check. 14 is more than 5.5, and 9 is more than 3.5. The bigger numbers mean smaller units. So 14 and 9 are measurements in centimeters. That leaves 5.5 and 3.5 as inches. Part 1 done. On to part 2. For part 2, we need to figure out how much shorter the crayon is than the marker. What operation could we use to solve? Subtraction, exactly. We'll find the difference between the 2 measurements. And the quest says in centimeters. So which 2 numbers do we subtract? 14 minus 9. That gives us a difference of 5. How much shorter is the crayon? 5 centimeters shorter than the marker. Awesome job. We're ready to check our work. Write our final answer on your math quest while I input our answer. Way to go! Another math quest solved. Now we know how to compare lengths and find the difference, even when the units change. Remember, every problem has a solution, and we've got the skills to solve it. See you next time.